So you've got a new client on your calendar. Now what? First sessions aren't just, so what brings you in today? Intake forms and polite nods. They are setting the tone for everything. They're vibe checks with paperwork. You're not a walking clipboard, and your client isn't a diagnosis with legs. This is where you decide, are you a performing therapist or actually building trust?
In this episode, we're deconstructing the real talk of first sessions, reading the room and the nervous system, dodging burnout traps, and staying regulated when the client brings the whole storm. Because let's be honest, rapport isn't built by being nice, it's built by being real. I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Lisa, and we're wildly unbothered. So there's been times in my life when I have gone to therapy, because therapists do go to therapy. And I remember going into this room and you filled out all the paperwork, and the person had my paperwork that I filled out. And it's almost asking me the questions as if I was in an interview. And I felt interrogated.
Yeah.
Not like I was there to help my nervous system. It felt very on edge and terrible. And you're just going to walk away thinking, this is my information. Why is this so hard?
Right.
Now, as a therapist, I'm on the other side of the room and I don't want to do the same thing.
Hmm.
And I know that along the way, the different settings we've been in, we've had to review certain information. We've had to go through and take paperwork that wasn't designed for us necessarily, whether it's in hospitals or community mental health or pick a place. And so it wasn't designed to build the trust like we're talking about here. So how did you come up with your system? What kind of fed into it? Where do you usually start with things?
A lot of it is personal experience or just approaching things how I would want to be approached. So whether it's mental health therapy or going to the doctor, these different environments kind of elicit different responses. And I think that paperwork aspect, it's so interesting. You can get some of the basics from that, but then really utilize building the rapport to get some of the information organically in a way that feels safe and warm. And I think those two words are probably the biggest theme for me going into a first session is how can I make this feel safe and how can I make this feel warm and welcoming?
So where do you start? No, we both have like maybe kind of similar and different ways of approaching this. So where do you start?
One of the things that I have to start with is confidentiality. But within that, I use it as a platform of building that safety and rapport because not only do I explain the process, but I explain how they would be involved with me. And then on the opposite end of confidentiality, just because this is a safe space doesn't mean you have to answer all of the things. I think I've learned how to let people show up with who they are and what they feel comfortable with. And then I literally go into fun. Who are you? Where do you live? Tell me about yourself. What are your days like?
Yeah.
So I learn about you before I learn about what maybe you want to work on or what areas of concern you may have. What about you?
Similar. Definitely we start with like the things that we have to, the disclaimers and the such. And, confidentiality is such an interesting one because it really is around, it's protecting them, but in such a way that if they're going to need more, if there's something that we do have to report, it's to provide supports for them. It's not getting people in trouble. It's supports for the clients. So it's just in their best interest and to really reiterate that to them. But beyond that, yeah, getting to know them. I want to start with things that are strengths. I want to start with this basis. So I will even ask them, to give me like some things that are going well, that they really enjoy doing. Who's in your network that you can rely on, so build that kind of support system for them initially.
So focusing on the strengths and stuff with your clients, how do you feel that helps build the rapport or set a foundation moving forward with them?
I think that for one, I have an idea of how much or how little that they have
Yeah.
an idea of an awareness of what their supports are. So whether we need to spend more time building up what the supports are and navigating that, or if they have a good sense of those pieces. But it's also because what we focus on does get larger. So it creates a foundational space for them to start from versus just kind of instantly expecting somebody of like, tell me what's wrong,
Right.
tell me what brings you in today. Like
Yes.
that's a really hard question to answer anyways. And I would never even ask it like that. Cause my next question generally is like, of coming to therapy, what are 3 to 5 things that you would like to be working on? And
Mhm.
sometimes those are actually the kind of the core of things. And sometimes they don't even end up being the issues we end up working on just because people aren't even sure how they're supposed to answer certain things. You know,
Exactly.
the hard part is that that does feel like that there's a right answer, or
Mhm.
are they doing it right? Or even where do I even begin to tell you what is going on and how it's impacted my life? And so just opening a space though, so that they feel like that they can like sort through just giving just like phrases, one liners. They don't have to give this huge story about their whole life from start to finish, and leave just with this big, huge narrative that they've stated out loud. That doesn't help anybody.
Right.
Yeah.
There's plenty of people who will be like, "Hi, I'm Steph. This is everything that I've been going through." But a lot of times we don't have the language or we don't understand how things are connected or
Hmm.
overwhelming with not knowing where to start. So
Hmm.
I think knowing that really reinforces wanting to offer that clarity and helping them sort things out and being able to wrap up the session and leave them with maybe some of the strengths or solutions focused type of thing, even in the beginning, because one session is not going to heal and fix all of the things. But we also don't want to touch on some very heavy things in the intro and then leave you high and dry until we see you again.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That's
uh,
terrible.
yeah. So I found myself covering a lot of similar areas in the first few sessions. So I ended up kind of creating like a handout for it. And it sounds like we do similar things. So covering goals. So core values and strengths are on there because we want to lean into them. We want to highlight them. It helps bridge the gap and give some momentum in the direction that they want to head, even after the first session.
I know that for myself, like I am a verbal processor, so I need to say things like out loud and talk through them so that I almost hear myself say it and I can sort through things. But not everyone can do that.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes that they'll say things out loud and they don't even understand like how they are connected. And so I tell them that my job as a therapist on this side is like I'm jotting things down and I'm making a constellation because I might be able to see a picture differently because I haven't been so close to the forest that I can't see the trees. Do you know? Like so, or
Yeah.
close to the trees, don't see the forest. Whatever the thing is. But anyways, but I think that like that it helps them give them like kind of some perspective of like, oh, this is why my nervous system's so far off. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, no wonder it feels like it's so much stuff because they haven't seen it like that, and it
Yeah.
gives context and validation.
Agreed.
Yeah. So where do you move to next? Like within your first session?
Typically, that's full session. We touch on the topics and get to know each other, and I share a little bit about what to expect. So it is comfortable for what they can know going into it. And then I always tell them, I said, I will always have something to bring to the table. However, this space is yours. I had a client this week first session lost their uncle on the day that we were supposed to meet. So we kind of shifted a little bit. And that's part of the expectation and what shared on the first session as well as I will always have something for you, but the space is yours. So
Mm-hmm.
if you want to talk about something else or there's other things that are relevant to be able to speak up and feel comfortable about understanding that.
Mm-hmm. Mine similar and different. And I think people need to know that therapists don't all do it the same. And if they're doing it all the same, it feels all the same, then it's probably not very like, I don't know, integrated and then synthesized in a way that is like more to the therapist and actually will fit kind of authentically in the sessions. I usually ask, is there anything else that are most important that I know about you? And sometimes people have told me the most like random things. Sometimes it's really relevant to the something of like, oh, I was adopted when I was 1. It didn't come up anywhere. I don't know, like you forgot to write it down. I don't know. Pick.
Yeah.
And other times it's like, well, you probably will never see me without a Diet Coke in my hands.
Yeah.
But it's just like there's like some very unique things that might like kind of hit. The other one that I will ask is there ever anything that you've experienced that feels like it was too much for the age you were at that time?
Okay, that's a great question.
And because people don't realize that it's
Mhm.
a lot for a 4-year-old to handle. I don't even know what, making their own lunch, something, pick a thing. And it may not be the thing that brought you to therapy, but it was just a lot, and it's indicators of what your nervous system might be doing. And then generally I'll check in with them. How are you feeling about talking about all these things? Sometimes people have a vulnerability hangover kind of feeling, or just feeling like, kind of like I'm feeling anxious, or I'm feeling whatever, a little bit undone, and different things. And most of the time, because I am a brain spotting, somatic, body based therapist, we go back and we do some grounding. We find
Yeah,
calm spots, and we use some body resource. And so just kind of bring them back down, help their nervous system calm back down, and bring them back to like present in a good space.
absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's one of the key things. It's imperative to make sure that they are regulated and have the tools when you're wrapping up. So, as a therapist, what do you need to do to make sure that you are checking in, helping them regulate, and setting them up for resources and or connections for in between if they need something?
Absolutely. First sessions, it's where the pretending stops. No more nodding through scripts or hiding behind jargon. This is where two nervous systems meet in the raw, where safety isn't promised, it's offered. Thanks for joining us. See you next time, and stay wildly unbothered.